Hey, how's it going? So, sorry if the audio is terrible in this, but I wanted to redo the intro, but I cut my microphone in half. So, anyway, I'm making this Damascus chef knife. I think it came out pretty cool, but we're just gonna go to what the intro was supposed to be, and I'll explain how I made that Damascus a little bit. So I just finished making this Damascus chef knife out of a piece of twist Damascus, which I know you're thinking, oh, just one piece of twist Damascus, so boring. But I did something special. So I started this knife off with a piece of Damascus that's about 16 layers right now, and then I layered in some super thick pieces of Kuforge V, and that's going to be black after finishing and etching the knife. So after I have that billet of fine layers and big black lines going through, all I need to do is draw it out and twist it up. After twisting, I drew it out, gave it a quick test etch to make sure it's coming out how I like it, and I'm happy with it, so I can forge out the profile of the blade, and I barely had enough material to make this knife, so I forged it pretty close. And you can see I just need to flatten off the sides of the knife to get some reference points so that when I grind the bevel, I know everything is lined up even on both sides and consistent throughout the entire blade. I don't grind the bevel too far before heat treating, because if the edge of the knife is super thin before heat treating it, then it can just warp and do crazy stuff during the heat treat. So I like to leave the edge pretty thick and pretty chunky, and I'll grind all that off after the heat treat. And you can see that after quenching it, a lot of that scale popped off of the blade. You can see all the gray color on the knife, and that's a great sign that it heat treated and hardened up really nicely. What am I saying now? Oh yeah, more grinding. Yay. So I chose to do ironwood for the bulk of the handle, a little brass piece at the very top, but I want something to separate that, just to make it more interesting. Why'd you turn off? So I need to choose some piece of material to go in the middle, and luckily I have a ton of scraps. Chose some canvas micarta and buffed it to make sure it looks like what I thought it looked like, and it's pretty nice. Ignore the cut lines, but you can just barely see the pattern in the canvas micarta. So I need a slot in all of these pieces to slide them up onto the blade, and haha, JK, I didn't use the micarta. I used a piece of Coca-Cola, which now I'm looking at it, might have been too much wood. I think something more not wood would have been fun. But ironwood and cocobolo are two beautiful woods, so no regrets. So after there's some holes in it, clean it up with files, and this front little brass piece is really difficult to get so there's no gaps. There's a lot of little tricks that you can do to close up that gap, but it just takes time, and it's really annoying that this tiny piece of brass takes more time than probably the rest of the handle. But you do just have to take time to make that tiny little brass piece nice and neat, and it's worth it. So then I need to hand sand the blade to get a good finish, and something that's super important when hand sanding is to get out all the scratches from the previous grit. So what I'm talking about is, for example, 120 going down the blade that way, scratches going like that. And then when you go 220, you put all those scratches diagonal into the blade. So when all of these scratches are gone, and it's only these scratches, you know, all the 120 is out, and it's all 220 grit finish. Hope that made sense, but you just alternate going diagonal in different directions, going straight down the blade until you get up to 600 grit. And after etching at 600 grit, you don't see any scratches. So that's as high as you need to go. So then for the etching, since there is a lot of very dark, very black steel in this Damascus, I wanted to etch it really dark. So I did 3 rounds of etching. Then I mixed up some instant coffee and put a knife in to blacken up that dark steel even further.
Guess who just completely forgot that this coffee was in a knife? Yep. Well, that looks really good though. No, that was on purpose. It looks amazing. Man, you know, I hate how green this is. Like, that seems like a stupid thing to complain about since like green is my favorite color, but like it's so bright on camera. I don't like it. I need to like spray paint it black or something, because that's, oopsies. That's way too green. Anyway, I'm gonna glue it up now. Okay, I don't need to record audio. Bye.
Oh. Oh, that's kind of silly. That's silly, goofy. Oh no! Oh. I thought that was gonna be more of a hassle. So to shape the handle, I got it all squared off. A slight taper going down, getting wider as you get to the bottom of the handle. And the handle is pretty much an octagon, so to take all the corners off evenly, I scribed down some calipers to mark out the exact lines I want, just so everything is symmetrical and even on all sides of the handle, since it can be difficult to do just by eye. Then there's just a bunch of sanding to do by hand to clean up all the lines, soften the edges, and to bring the wood to a 1000 grit finish, which came out looking pretty good. Then super glue. Now that seems weird with all of the work that I put onto this knife to put super glue on it, but if you put a very thin layer of super glue over wood, it can make it completely waterproof and shiny and beautiful. And I don't think I do it enough, because it is a really good finish to protect the handles and make them last forever. And with that, the knife is finished. Oh yeah, sharpening. It's not finished, haha, pranked. And to sharpen it, I did decide to be extra and use a whetstone. What? Okay. Which, I'll be honest with you, whetstones don't make any difference. It's like pretty much the same whether you use that or a belt grinder. You can get them just as sharp, but it sounds really cool if you use a whetstone. It's just like Japanese steel. It doesn't mean anything, but it sounds cool. So I used a whetstone. So yeah, we're pretty much done now. Do you like it? I think it's a pretty cool knife. But oh, look, the spine. That came out really cool. It has like little like cross things in it. But anyway, cool knife. I am a wee bit sick, so I'm gonna go sleep. Bye.